Air raid sirens have sounded across Ukraine on the 34th day of the Russian invasion as peace talks begin in Turkey, with Kyiv seeking a ceasefire without compromising on territory or sovereignty. Key points: Ukraine and Russia last met for face-to-face talks on March 10th. Ukraine and Russia last met for face-to-face talks on March 10th. Mariupol's mayor says nearly 5,000 people have been in the city, including about 210 children. Mariupol's mayor says nearly 5,000 people have been in the city, including about 210 children. The city of Irpin and the town of Trostyanets have reportedly been retaken by Ukrainian forces. Ukraine and the United States hold little hope for a breakthrough at the meeting later on Tuesday, which are the first direct talks between the two sides in more than 2 weeks. In the biggest attack on a European nation since World War II, more than 3.8 million Ukrainians have fled abroad, thousands have been injured, and Russia's economy has been pummeled by sanctions. In the besieged southern port city of Mariupol, nearly 5,000 people have been, including about 210 children, according to figures from the mayor. Survivors have told harrowing tales of people dying from lack of medical treatment, bodies being buried wherever space could be found, and women giving birth in basements. A funeral is held in Irpin on Monday for a Georgian volunteer fighting on the side of Ukraine. Meanwhile, the mayor of Irpin, which has been the scene of some of the heaviest fighting, said the city had been liberated from Russian forces. A senior U.S. defense official said the U.S. believes the Ukrainians have also retaken the town of Trostyanets, south of Sumy, in the east. The official said Russian forces largely remained in defensive positions near the capital, Kyiv, and were making little forward progress elsewhere in the country. Russia appeared to be easing back ground operations near Kyiv and concentrating more on the predominantly Russian-speaking region of Donbass. A local resident in Donetsk surveys the damage to houses after fighting between Ukrainian forces and pro-Russian separatists. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said of Tuesday's talks in Turkey, "We are not trading people, land or sovereignty. The minimum program will be humanitarian questions, and the maximum program is reaching an agreement on a ceasefire," he said on national television. A senior U.S. State Department official said Russian President Vladimir Putin did not appear ready to make compromises to end the war. Ukrainian Interior Ministry advisor Vadim Denisenko said that he doubted there would be any breakthrough. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said talks so far had not yielded any substantial progress, but it was important they continued in person. Zelensky calls for oil embargo against Russia. Mr. Zelensky says Western sanctions against Russia must go further to include an oil embargo. In an address on Monday night, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky repeated calls for the West to go further in punishing Moscow for its invasion. "We, people who are alive, have to wait," he said. "Doesn't everything the Russian military has done to date warrant an oil embargo?" While Western countries have imposed a series of hard-hitting sanctions upon Moscow, Europe is heavily reliant on energy imports from Russia and has been so far reluctant to act to block them. Ukrainian soldiers stand guard at a checkpoint on the outskirts of Kyiv, where Russian forces have made little headway. US and German government officials are due to meet in Berlin this week with energy industry executives to discuss ways to boost alternative supplies for Germany. The Kremlin has demanded that what it deems unfriendly countries pay for Russian gas in rubles, not euros, but is trying to decide a mechanism by which that could work. Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno said on Tuesday that Japanese companies would be requested to refuse if Russia asked for ruble payments. Tokyo also banned the export of luxury goods to Russia, effective April 5, in its latest response to the war. Prohibited items included luxury cars, motorcycles and fashion items. Changing Russia's goals. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, left with his brother Vladimir, says Ukraine has destroyed the myth of the invincible Russian military. Russia calls its actions in Ukraine a special military operation to disarm and denazify its neighbor, while Ukraine and the West say Putin launched an unprovoked war of aggression. Tuesday's talks between will be the first in person since an acrimonious meeting between foreign ministers on March 10th, a sign of shifts behind the scenes as Russia loses battlefield momentum. "We have destroyed the myth of the invincible Russian army," Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said. "We are resisting against the aggression of one of the strongest armies in the world and have succeeded in making them change their goals." He said 100 people had been in the capital, including 4 children, and 82 multi-story buildings had been destroyed. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said at the last face-to-face meeting that an end to fighting was not on the table. When the sides last met in person, Ukraine accused Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov of ignoring pleas to discuss a ceasefire, while Mr. Lavrov said a halt to fighting was not on the agenda. Since then, they have held talks via video link and publicly discussed a formula under which Ukraine might accept some kind of neutral status. But neither side has budged over Russia's territorial demands, including Crimea, which Moscow seized and annexed in 2014, and eastern territories known as the Donbass, which Moscow demands Kyiv cede to pro-Russian separatists. M to mute, left and right arrows to seek, up and down arrows for volume. Watch 1 minute 39 seconds 1 minute and 39 seconds. North America correspondent Carrington Clark says Joe Biden's remarks may work in Vladimir Putin's favor. Wires, ABC.